what I really want to do is to teach people the framework that I have discovered to prompt artificial intelligence to truly make inferences based off of data and not just give you attention hacks. And so I include attention hacks because sometimes you need to meet people where they are, but I think the best thing you could do is write relevant messaging. And so quickly, before we get into that, the difference is an attention hack is if I reach out to somebody and I say, oh, hey, Collin, I noticed you're based in California, or in I'm so sorry, where are you based in?
Vancouver.
Vancouver. Yeah. Okay. Hey, noticed you're based in Vancouver. Have you ever tried this restaurant? I've heard really good things about it. That's just an attention hack. That has nothing to do with solving a problem. It has nothing to do with your product or service or anything. But if you read that, an unsuspecting person would say, oh, wow, they actually wrote this email to me. This doesn't work on SaaS founders. It doesn't work on e-com founders because they see this stuff all the time. But if you email an accountant in Vancouver, they will never know the difference. You totally get them. And so that attention hack will increase your conversion rate. But I don't think that they're the first things that you should be using. And even talk about it in the blog that your top level thing how could you use AI to make an inference about a relevant reason why they should be taking a look at your product or service. And so besides the outbound campaign ideas, for recruiters, I've developed GPT prompts for them where we could take a look at the mission of the company. Well, we could take a look at the description of the company. All of this can start from the description of the company and who they're hiring for and say, okay, this is the description of the company. What's the mission of the company? Okay, they're hiring for a software engineer. What problems do software engineers solve? Okay, now that we have this problem and we have this mission, how does solving this problem complete this mission? And so now we can create a line that recruiters are reaching out to people with and saying, oh, hey, I noticed you're hiring for a software engineer. Typically, I see people hiring for software engineers when they want to improve their product and, reduce their technical debt in order to fulfill your mission of whatever your company does. And then we could also use AI. I don't even know why I didn't mention this one, to infer from the job description of what would make this person a good candidate, and say, after we say that line, we would say, oh, hey, I looked at the job description. It looks like you're looking for somebody who can accomplish these things. 1, 2, 3. I have a couple of candidates in mind. Do you think this would be a fit? Well, that message compared to, hey, I saw that you're hiring for an account executive, parentheses, German territory, would love to see if you need anybody placed. The difference between those two messages is night and day. And so I really want people to start thinking about artificial intelligence as the tool that can infer this data for you and empower your messaging. And the framework that I use is, and I'm just going to go over one I basically have memorized now because I do it so often, is if we're looking to write a first line about just what the company's mission is, right? Because sometimes this is just a fallback line that I teach people just because if you have nothing else, no other better ideas, that this is just a good way to personalize the email. And our result is going to say, hey, I was taking a look at your website and it looks like you help people build predictable revenue, whatever, the generated text after that. And the way you get that line is you say, using the input, complete my prompt with the mission of the company. This is the input. And then usually we input the company description from LinkedIn because it's static. It's not that long. Usually it's a pretty good synopsis of what the company does. So we usually input the company description from LinkedIn. And then I say, keep the output under 8 words and use specific keywords from the text. Complete each prompt with my prefix. This is my prefix. I was on your website and it looks like you help. All of that, there's 4 parts to that. There's first where I'm stipulating, hey, there's going to be an input here, and this is what I want you to do with the input. Using the input, tell me what the mission of this company is. Then you need to stipulate your input. This is the input. And then I usually put that in quotes, just so that it's very sure that GPT understands what I'm doing here. Then the third part is putting guardrails on everything. I like to tell people, I'm not sure if this analogy is landing, but I keep telling people it, that, AI is like a 5-year-old at a bowling alley. There's no chance of making a strike. Absolutely zero. Never going to happen. Mm-hmm. Give it enough equipment, though, some guardrails, help it push the ball, it'll hit a strike every time. But yeah, it needs a lot of help. And so then you tell it, keep the output under 8 words. We got to stay in control of that length and use specific keywords from the text. I don't want you going off and saying generic. Almost said a bad word there. I don't want you saying generic stuff on, make it swear. Okay. I don't want you saying generic stuff in here. Use specific keywords from the input so they feel like it's actually sent to them. And then I always include a prefix. And I include a prefix because if you don't include the prefix, you have no clue what it's going to say. And you're not in control of how it's going to fit into your copywriting. So I always say complete the prompt with my prefix. This is my prefix. And then I stay in control of that and say, hey, it was on your website and it looks like you help people. Because then it's always going to complete that because it knows how to complete that sentence over and over and over again. And so I hope people pick up on that pattern, which it's at the very top of the blog, that pattern, because I just see so many people. Varun and I were at a demo with somebody. I'm definitely not going to name them. But they prompted ChatGPT and they said, basically they said, hey, we help people with their financial reporting. Write a personalized email to this person. This is their first name and this is their email address. I was like, oh my God,
this has got to be amazing.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's not even close. Like that will not get you anywhere. And so I think one day, to be completely honest, there was a guy that I saw who he asked ChatGPT to build a business that would get to $1 million within like 2 years on $100 budget. And it gave some pretty dang good advice. It was like an e-commerce business and all of these other things. One day, I think GPT will be big enough that you could start genuinely entire companies and just prompt it through everything. And it'll say, do this, do this, do this, write this copy. Here's how you run the Facebook ads and like do all these things. I think we're not that far away from it doing that. But today, you gotta keep it on a short leash because it's going to start hallucinating to do crazy stuff.